A shocking new report alleges that for the most part of the last decade, a multi-million-dollar Pentagon plan for spying on North Korea consisted of essentially secretly hijacking American charity groups there, using unwitting volunteers to gather information on the ground. It sounds like a TV spy series, but according to The Intercept, it's the real plot uncovered by a months-long investigation, the Pentagon using a Christian nonprofit called Humanitarian International Services Group and its president, Kay Hiramine, as a cover for espionage. Sources told The Intercept that the group, which has since closed, allegedly shipped contraband Bibles to the Hermit Nation to test security and transportation routes, and then the Pentagon arranged for the group to smuggle in radio beacons and other spying equipment. Government funding enabled the charity to grow, and with it, the Pentagon's knowledge, presumably, of Kim Jong-un's super-secret regime. The Intercept's Matthew Cole, who broke this story, joins me now, along with retired CIA operative Bob Baer, who is quoted in the story. Matthew, first of all, does reporting this story put anyone at risk?
We don't think so, Jake. First of all, the program ended about 3 years ago, so whatever assets they had put into place have at least gone stale. Secondly, we went to the Pentagon about 2 weeks before we published today to give them an opportunity to let us know whether there was anything that was harmful or dangerous, and they had no comment. So I think the real question is whether or not programs like these that use NGOs, people who do legitimate humanitarian work, are really, whether it's a good policy for the U.S. government to use them as cover for espionage because of the risks that do come if it ever gets out.
Let's talk about that. What more can you tell us about these shipments into North Korea? You reported that the president of the group never told these volunteers what was going on.
Yeah, well, it's a little murky as to who within the company knew. We know that it's possible that there were a few other executives at HISG who knew, but as far as we can tell and from our sources, most of the workers of HISG had no idea. And the idea is that they acted as a cutout. The Pentagon would task them to get things into North Korea, and they would use, HISG and Kay Hiramine would use the network that they had of other missionaries and other aid workers who could get into North Korea at some regularity to move things, unwitting of the fact that they were doing it for the Pentagon, and in some cases moving equipment without knowing what it was that they might have been moving.
Bob Baer, as a former CIA operative, doesn't this raise red flags to you? I mean, this really theoretically could put innocent humanitarian workers at real peril.
Absolutely, Jake. I mean, you have to look at Abbottabad. We were trying to collect DNA, and vaccination programs completely went under there, and the Pakistanis turned on them. And this puts at risk all Christian missionary groups across the world that work in hostile areas. They're going to be called spies, and they're going to be looking at this North Korean thing. Yeah, it puts them at risk, absolutely.
And Matthew, this program was secretive, you say, with very little oversight throughout both the Bush and Obama administrations. Why was it able to continue as long as it did?
Well, first of all, the nature of the way it was classified meant that it was very limited in terms of who outside of the people in the Pentagon knew. We know it was briefed to the Appropriations and the Armed Services Committee. We know it was probably briefed to the Intel committees, but in those briefings, it's only the chair and the ranking members. No staff is allowed in. They're not allowed to take notes. The rest is held by the White House. And so the question is, the indication that we got about how it was briefed as well was that they had an NGO that had access into what they call a denied area, and that was something that they needed. They were very blind on North Korea. It wasn't out of nowhere that they came up with the idea to try to get in. They were desperate. I don't think that there was any real mention of the religious association of both the organization that was being used and then the unwitting people in North Korea who were being used further down the line.
And Bob, U.S. clergy and journalists and Peace Corps volunteers are protected from missions like this. There's a ban on operatives portraying themselves as those groups, but charitable groups are still fair game for spying?
Exactly. Executive Order 12333, you can't get clergy, you can't do Peace Corps, you're absolutely right, but NGOs are fair game. But I think, Jake, the real thing is these operations never work. I've been involved in these going back to the 70s, and they just don't work. There's collecting what we call trash and ash. And at the end of the day, if you don't really have controlled assets in North Korea, they're not going to work. So I think we put these missionaries at risk for no possible gain. And I think this, Cole's story is very good in seeing how desperate we are to get intelligence in North Korea. We just don't have any. So this story tells us a lot of things about where we stand with that country.
And Bob, it seems like it would be terrifying, the idea of how many programs out there like this might exist, and there just is very minimal, if any, oversight, as Matthew describes in his piece.
Absolutely. Well, it's the failures of the committees on the Hill. I mean, they don't really look at these things. They come in, they get cursory briefings. They don't really understand them, and the people on the Hill don't understand intelligence, don't understand these things don't work. And this is why we're talking about it in the press, because American intelligence has failed us repeatedly in operations like this, and we as Americans need to know about this, especially when we're putting other Americans at risk and they're not winning.